you hear me? Okay. I'm going to give you a bit of background on my path to where I am now, and then dig out into some specific advice and things I've learned. So I grew up in Bundaberg. I always had an interest in reading and writing, but had no real career aspirations. I moved to Brisbane in 2006 and studied communication at UQ. I found a job at a web design company midway through my degree and cut my study back to part-time. I started writing for the local street press in mid-2007. I wrote live music reviews on a weekly basis for the free tickets, not for the money. That was all I wrote for about 2 years. I quit the web design job a few months before graduating in July 2009. I started freelance journalism around that time, without much of a clue. I kept my focus on writing about music and the music industry. By the end of the year, I was published in Rolling Stone and Triple J Mag. Most of 2010 was spent writing about music, though I began to take more of an interest in feature journalism. I've since been published in the Weekend Australian, the Courier Mail and Q Weekend. My intention is to continue feature journalism with the occasional book review and live music review on the side. Now here's a brief list of some things I've learned over the last 2 years. The best way to be a feature journalist is to wake up every day and be a freelance journalist. This means you'll spend your day researching story ideas, pitching stories to editors, requesting interviews with people you wish to speak to, shaping stories until they're as good as they can be, and then filing them to the editor. I've just summed up the entire job in a single sentence. That's what freelance journalism involves. You'll think of an interesting thing to write about, pitch this interesting thing to an editor, get permission from the editor to write about this interesting thing in exchange for money, and then go out and do just that, over and over. In a way, it's not glamorous at all, but it depends how you look at it. I choose to look at freelance journalism as getting paid to learn things and sharing that knowledge with readers. In many cases, I know very little about a particular topic when I pitch a story, but through curiosity and initiative in approaching an editor to write about it, I get paid to familiarise myself with an industry or a culture or an issue which affects a lot of people. I'm not saying that I've become an expert in something after researching it for a week or two, but I'll generally know more about it than the average person. And then when the average person reads my story, they too become informed. It's a beautiful cycle and a wonderful way to make a living as long as you have an interest in learning things. If not, freelance journalism probably isn't for you. But you should still try it anyway, because you never know. Ideas. You need to have absolute faith and conviction in your ideas, because ideas are your lifeblood as a freelance journalist. Without them, you fail. Without them, you're nothing to nobody. But to have an idea is not enough. You need to conceptualize an idea in a full enough manner that an editor will read your idea and be willing to part with a few hundred or a few $1,000s from their budget in order for you to bring that idea to fruition. When I started freelance journalism, my ideas were terrible. I look back on them now and I'm embarrassed by how lame and elementary they seem in comparison to what I'm pitching now. But like anything though, freelance journalism is a learning experience and you get better at it over time. At the heart of this game is the quality of your ideas, which you need to hone and sharpen and polish on a daily basis if you have any hope of getting anywhere. Curiosity. Curiosity is currency. As I mentioned earlier, I see this job as being paid to learn and to teach. Curiosity is key though, because 95% of my ideas come from reading or watching something and wondering, why is that? Or how does that work? Or why did that person or company make that decision? Generally the question is why. The why should be a question that you ask yourself constantly. Not out loud because you'll probably sound like a lunatic, but as you move through the world, be curious. Story ideas should come easily if you keep listening to the why in the back of your head. Mentors. This might be the most important thing I'm going to say today. You need to find a mentor. You need to find someone knowledgeable who believes in you, who you can report to on a weekly basis, and whose input you value greatly. I'm not saying it's impossible to succeed with that one, but I guess that would be much harder. I've had a mentor for 2 years, and I wouldn't have achieved anywhere near as much as I have without their support. I don't know how to explain it or even how it works, but being accountable to someone other than yourself is a massive productivity boost. You need someone who'll give you a kick up the arse if you're having a slack week, or gently pick you up if you're feeling deflated for whatever reason. This person doesn't necessarily have to be a writer or a journalist. As long as they understand the freelance lifestyle and have a background in creativity, they should be a good fit. But you won't know if they're a good fit until you try a mentor relationship. So start thinking about mentors if you're serious about pursuing freelance journalism. Always look up. Always keep moving forward. Try to have a couple of projects on the go at any one time. Even if you've got a few commissions in hand, always be researching new ideas and thinking of new angles that could work for particular publications. The image I like to think of is Tarzan swinging from tree to tree, only you're swinging from idea to idea, from publication to publication. While you're a freelancer, you shouldn't settle, even if you find one or two consistent, well-paying gigs. Always be looking up for your next opportunity, your next big break. Try not to stand still for too long. Set goals, but don't be too hard on yourself. Not every day will bring you closer to your goals. You'll have days where the thought of pitching and writing stories makes you want to crack your skull open against the wall. This is fine as long as most days aren't like that. Try to maintain a generally productive mindset, but pay attention to your mental state. Don't force yourself to work if your mind is screaming out against the concept. If you do take a break, whether for an hour or a day, try not to feel guilty about it. Self-motivation. It goes without saying that you have to be self-motivated to have any kind of success in this game. Most of the time, you'll probably be working alone. If you've never worked this way before, it can be a massive shock to the system. It was for me. It took me over a year to find a rhythm where I could sit at a desk all day and work alone without craving some kind of distraction or human interaction. But I found it eventually, and it's a nice place to be, even if I do mess it up occasionally. Self-talk. In a similar vein to the last point, self-talk is hugely important in this line of work. You are directly responsible for your income. You can't just show up at your desk and get paid. You have to research, think, send emails, and maintain relationships with people who might only know you as words on a screen. It is a pretty ludicrous situation to be in if you really sit down and think about it. So try not to think about it. But you need to believe that you can do this if you want to have anything resembling a career in freelance journalism. You need to believe in yourself most days of the week. There isn't a whole lot of room for self-doubt in this game. I think the best way to avoid self-doubt is to always be busy so that you don't have time to doubt yourself. A to-do list to keep track of your daily tasks is a must. Being a freelancer means you'll be doing lots of follow-ups with people, chasing invoices, chasing interviews, chasing stories you've pitched and never heard back from the editor on. These things are tiny and easy to forget, which is why you need to keep track of them. I use a to-do list called todo.com, spelt the French way, TEUXDEUX.com. It's very simple but clean and allows you to see 5 days ahead at a time. It also has an iPhone app which allows me to refer to it when I'm out of office. There are probably many other sites and apps with the same functions, but this one works well for me. Set up a blog. This is simple and non-negotiable. Set up a blog to act as your portfolio of published work. It doesn't have to be flashy, it just has to show your work and be regularly updated. If you can, register yourname.com and set up a blog there. Doing this is one of the best decisions I've made as a freelance journalist. Set boundaries. Since you're not constricted by a traditional workplace or business hours, it's quite easy to find yourself working from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep. I've been there. It's not healthy. It's how you become burnt out. It's important to set boundaries around your workplace as a freelancer, and in this case, your workplace is anywhere your PC is. For around 9 months, I've kept Saturday as my PC-free day, where I don't turn the computer on or do any work-related tasks. I also keep Sunday as a day for catching up on RSS feeds, updating my blog, replying to emails, pretty non-intensive tasks, and Monday to Friday is for work. Structuring your work week is important. You need to respect boundaries both for yourself and for those closest to you. And finally, enjoy yourself. Freelance journalism can be a huge amount of fun if you approach it with the right attitude. It's a great alternative to the traditional path of cadetships and applying for reporter jobs, and you can start doing it today. With persistence, self-belief and talent, there's no reason why you can't make a living from freelance journalism. I highly recommend it.